there was a lot of organizing happening for this protest. I can tell you what our group was doing. We had a legal clinic come to our group and do anti-deportation package with our families. I don't think you fully understand what that might mean. That means having the most difficult conversation you can imagine with your family. Telling your children what a contingency plan if one day I cannot pick you up from school. That means assigning a family member or a friend, if there is no family member here, to go and pick up your kids from school, to make sure that they're not taken by the state or left alone. Can you imagine having that conversation? Right now, there's more than 200 children who probably will not be reunified with their families. They were taken at the border, and that's not just happening at the border, that's happening everywhere in the US. DCF is packed to the brim with kids that have been picked up and separated from their families. This is not just a crisis that's been happening since March, it's been happening even before Trump. And I just want to shed light on that really brutal reality. I just want to also speak out against the Trump administration's adoption of stricter asylum policies. Since June 11th, Attorney Jeff Sessions said that domestic violence is no longer eligible for asylum. I can tell you within our group, there are women in our group that if they return back to their countries, they are facing their imminent death. I don't mean this to break your hearts or to rain on this parade, no pun intended. But these are really stark realities. And the only way we can protect ourselves is, number one, you have to pressure your elected officials. Number two, right here in this community, I need you all to sign up at that table. If you are an ally, and if you really live by the ethos, nothing about us without us, I need you to go sign up right now to Madres Sin Fronteras and be part of our group. Because right now we are building community infrastructure to protect the families here and all of North Central Florida. We are doing a bail and bond fund. This bail and bond fund is helping all families who have loved ones in the detention center that's only an hour away, but don't have the financial means to take their loved ones out. We have an accompaniment program. The only two immigration courts we have here in Florida are either in Orlando and Miami, but yet people need to go to ICE field offices in Jacksonville and Tampa. We need people to do ride shares. So if you're interested in that, go sign up. We are also working on an ID program. As you know, a simple traffic violation or infraction can lead someone to go get to further the risk of deportation. So we are working on that campaign right now. If you're interested in that, go sign up. And last but not least, and the most important thing right now, we're working on a rapid response hotline. That means any immigrant-related emergency goes through this hotline and doesn't go through GPD. We need your help. We need all the help that we can get. This is the only way that we can protect our families here in Alachua County, the community coming together to protect itself. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass over the mic to Pastor Larry Green, who's been helping us, and we're in coalition with the Human Rights Coalition of Alachua County.
I'm actually scheduled to speak later, so the only thing I want to tell you is that one of the things you can do is to donate your time. That's important. However, the world revolves around money, and we need money. All of those things that she mentioned cost money. We need you to dig deep in some way, shape, or form, either one time or ongoing. You can visit our website and do an ongoing donation, or you can go right over there in that little glass case and dump anything that you have. And if you don't have cash and you want to run a card, see me and I'll give you the website, or I'll square you up right now. The other thing you can do is July 3rd at 9 o'clock. You can go to the Civic Media Center. They are having a fundraiser for Madres Sin Fronteras. We need you, not just today, because this is something that has been going on far too long, and we have been too silent. I'm glad you're here today, but this is not the end. This is just the beginning. Thank you for being here.
Gia and Larry, thank you both. I also want to add, at this point, we have raised all the money through the GoFundMe that we need to cover our expenses. Yay! We kept the expenses really low. So every dime that we raise on the GoFundMe, it's on the Facebook page, from here on out is going to Madres for their efforts. So if you want to donate that way, your money's going to what was just discussed. So that's another way you can donate. Up next we have Rachel Coleman, Dr. Rachel Coleman. She is a local pediatrician, and she's going to be speaking about the effects of what having your parents ripped away from you does to you if you're a kid. Because that's the reality of a lot of this situation. Parents are being ripped from children. So, Rachel?
Hi, as she said, my name is Rachel Coleman. I'm a pediatrician in this community. And I see my job as working to help all families achieve the best health possible. One of the areas that has a tremendous impact on children's health is the level of stress in their lives and whether or not they have a buffer for that stress, a safe, secure, and nurturing relationship with a caregiver that can help them through the stress that is bound to happen in life. We've learned a lot in medicine in the 20 years since the original Adverse Childhood Experiences study was done, which demonstrated the tremendous impact childhood stress can have on long-term health outcomes. Study after study has shown that severe stress in childhood is linked to higher rates of heart disease, cancer, learning difficulties, mental illness, drug abuse, and early death. That's what we're putting these kids through when they go through this kind of stress. We've also learned what the important factors are to mitigate high stress. These are necessities such as healthy relationships, adequate and restful sleep, good nutrition, and regular exercise. These are the basics that all children need in order to thrive. This is why the current policies and practices at our borders are so troubling to me as a pediatrician, as a mother of 3, and a human being who feels that where you were born should not determine whether you have access to basic dignity and respect. The families who attempt to cross our border have faced significant dangers. So these children have already suffered tremendous stress. An estimated 6 in 10 women and girls have experienced violence on their way to the border. Instead of then receiving humane treatment in an environment where they can heal, they are being housed in a setting that causes further trauma. Reports from detention centers tell us that these children are sleeping in rooms where there is constant overhead lighting, making it essentially impossible to get good sleep. They are also given very limited opportunity for exercise, often being kept indoors for all but 1 or 2 hours a day. Modern science has clearly shown that this interference with sleep and the circadian rhythm causes disruption to our immune system and hormone regulation, impacts heart health, and degrades memory processing and learning ability. Without intervention, the effects become irreversible. These children are already dealing with a multitude of physical and psychological stressors. The least we can do is provide conditions that let them sleep. We're told that they have put an end to the practice of separating children from families, and I hope that that is true, but there still exists no good plan for reuniting already separated children with their families. In addition, the new plan set forth to house families together in detention facilities still submits families to chronic, inhumane treatment. For all the reasons I have shared, we must change this. Otherwise, this will have irreparable consequences for these families, and I believe for our society as a whole. We need to make our voices heard so this does not continue. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, in a real sense, all life is interrelated. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Coleman. We really appreciate your time. Up next, we have Larry Green. He is the pastor of Westminster Presbyterian Church, and he is also the chair of the local Human Rights Commission. Thank you.
Westminster is the only sanctuary church in this city. If you don't know what sanctuary means, it's not the place where you go to worship. That's where you go to put money in the bills in the morning. Sanctuary is about providing housing, safe housing, for our undocumented individuals who are facing deportation and who need assistance to go through the rest of the process. We have a house set up where they can come to us. They can work through Madres Sin Fronteras, and they can be vetted, and they can be provided housing. You're looking for a way to help them? Get involved. We've already told you how to sign up. We've told you how to donate. These are important aspects of what we do through the Human Rights Coalition. If you believe in human rights, let me hear you say amen. Amen. It's human rights not just for people who look like me. It's human rights not just for people who have documents. It's human rights not for people who are straight. It's human rights for every single person who is living and breathing in this place. Y para mis amigos y hermanos y hermanas hispanohablantes, quiero que me oyen muy bien. Si ustedes necesitan ayuda en cualquier minuto, ustedes me pueden llamar. Ustedes pueden llamar a Gia y estaremos enfrente de las cortes, estaremos enfrente de la justicia, buscando justicia para cada uno de ustedes. Si ustedes necesitan ayuda, aquí estamos. And for all you non-Spanish speaking people, go learn Spanish. The HRC is about fighting for the rights of all people. Right now we're focused on immigration because that's what is in our face. But it isn't the only system of injustice that we're fighting. You and I are together in this. We come from different segments of society. We come from different socio-political statuses, socioeconomic statuses. We come from all areas of this place. But what unites us is the fact that we are focused on protecting the rights and the dignity of all people, here and now. And what does it say to you that the affected community is so filled with fear that they can't show up right here to talk to you personally? It says to me that they need us today more than ever. They need you at the fundraisers, we need you at the meetings, we need you in the streets, we need your bank accounts, we need all of you to be invested in what we do to protect the least of these in our society. This morning there was an action at the Baker County facility, which you've heard several things about. If you're ever interested in visiting the Baker County facility and speaking directly to the undocumented folks who are awaiting deportation, see me and I'll hook you up with the visit. There's a process you have to go through, but you can get in there and hear firsthand what it's like living in a cage, unable to go out into the sunlight anytime, not just an hour a day, but anytime. You'll hear what it's like waiting for not just 3 to 4 weeks for a hearing, but 6 to 7 months for a hearing. You'll hear what it's like from the people who are experiencing this day in and day out. This morning at the action, one of the protesters was arrested. So if you're looking for something else to do, they need bail money. They need people at the courthouse tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to stand in front of the judge, to stand with the people, and to say this is not just. Voicing our concerns is our right in this country. So I invite you to be active. I invite you to be part of it. I'm glad you're here, but there's a lot more to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Up next, so we all know that there's a lot of moving pieces to this. We have a local attorney, Laura de Paz Cabrera, who's going to speak with you about people who have TPS status, temporary protected status. This means you can legally live in the country because you come from somewhere that is not necessarily a great place to live. So Laura is going to tell you more about that. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you, muchas gracias. It's an honor for me to be here. I'm going to try my best to keep this concise and not use a lot of legal terms because immigration law, probably next to tax law, is the second most complicated area of law. There's a lot of moving parts. So temporary protected status, also known as TPS, it was enacted in 1990 by U.S. Congress, and it confers legal status to citizens, migrants of certain countries that are designated as such, and usually due to natural disasters, so earthquakes, hurricanes, civil unrest, civil wars, or protracted civil conflict. It was initially offered first to El Salvador, who were citizens from El Salvador who were fleeing the civil war. And in general, it allows stays of up to 18 months where those individuals, if they are eligible to do so, are conferred legal status. They're allowed to work and they're allowed to travel, given permits to do so, and that can be renewed so long as the temporary protected status designation is still available to that country. Right now, a total of 10 countries have TPS designation, and that means that several 100,000 migrants from those countries live and work in the United States with TPS status, the vast majority of which are from El Salvador, Haiti, and Honduras. Of those 10 total countries, since the current administration took office, 6 of those are set to lose their temporary protected status. Those 6 are Sudan, Nicaragua, Haiti, El Salvador, Nepal, and Honduras. Why? The justification from the administration has been that conditions in those countries have returned to favorable enough conditions that they should be able to go back safely. I'm going to read the list of those countries one more time. Sudan, Nicaragua, Haiti, El Salvador, Nepal, and Honduras. We've got almost 500,000 neighbors, community members, friends in this country, 93% of which are from El Salvador, Honduras, and Haiti under TPS status. So who are those? I'm a lawyer, I don't do math. So I'm going to use numbers here. I'm going to try to keep it short because I think the numbers are eye-opening. Those are our neighbors, our friends, our family members. They're local business owners. We shop at their stores. We eat at their restaurants. They serve our food. Our kids go to school and play sports with their kids. And they may even be teaching our children at school. The vast majority of these are employed, and at least a third are homeowners. These are people who have been in our country for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, decades of establishing a life in our community. More numbers, but again, eye-opening. The last study showed that of the main countries of citizens with TPS status, El Salvador, Honduras, and Haiti, these individuals contributed $4.5 billion in pre-tax wages to the GDP of the United States of America. In addition, over the course of a decade, they contributed $6.9 billion into our Social Security and Medicare system. Their status is set to expire. We have dates in 2019, one in 2020. What does that mean? My law partner, Evan George, has this great analogy where essentially they've been on a train, the TPS train. Again, a decades-long train, relying on this train. sowing their roots and establishing a family, establishing a life on this train, and that train is headed for a cliff. And here's the thing about TPS. Once your status is done, you can't renew your work permit. You can't renew your travel authorization card. And there's no line for you to get back on. There's no line that once you're done with TPS, get in this line and something magical will happen at the end of that line. For those neighbors, for those community members, for those integral part of our society, they're going to be faced with one of the most complicated areas of law. They're going to run smack into it, the immigration system. And when you can't renew your work permit, and you can't renew a travel card, and you have no other options because your status has been revoked and expired, sometimes and many times they'll have no choice but to go into the shadows and join the already 11 million undocumented people trying to live their life in fear. So what can we do? Right now, legally, there are no independent options available to these people. As we know, as we heard, and as we hear on the news every single day, the immigration system is backlogged beyond belief. Once their status ends, for the vast majority of these people, they will be immediately deportable. Immediately deportable. Because of our current administration's zero tolerance policy, all discretion is gone. So what can we do? Well, we're here in the rain, caring, and that's step one. Those that can, care. Whether it affects us or it doesn't, this is a human thing, and we're all human. So we start by caring, and then we take that caring one step further, and we get educated, and we learn. And someone earlier said, we're not experts in immigration. We don't have to be experts. But we do need to learn and to know what we're talking about. And in my personal opinion, the only thing scarier for immigrant rights in this country after the current administration is misinformation. So we combat that misinformation. Because at the end of the day, what we know, especially, not that one is better than the other, but the information that we have regarding those who are here pursuant to TPS is it's as far away from what's being painted in a lot of media and by a lot of our administration of what an immigrant or what a migrant is. So vote, that's been said before, fight, and give voice. This isn't the first time that immigration has been front and center. This isn't the first time that immigration generally has faced an uphill battle. Zero tolerance is something, at least in my practice, that I've not seen before and that I don't think our immigration system has seen before. And zero tolerance is something that we need to vehemently and vocally speak out against. We need to not tolerate and not stand for it. And we need to use our vote and our voice to make sure that we put the humanity back in the United States of America. Thank you.
Hey guys, what Laura said is so important. This is not normal. The crisis at the border was manufactured by Donald Trump putting in a zero tolerance policy that did not exist before. That is fact. So I want to do a big cheer right now. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Here's a fun fact, right? Donald Trump isn't up for election in November, but everybody in the House of Representatives is. And what? 35 senators, 36 senators, something like that? Guys, we can put in people that will get rid of him. Vote in November. Vote. Okay? This is really important. Vote. I'm losing my voice. So, our next speaker is going to talk to you a little bit more about TPS. Reverend Jaime Zelaya is the pastor at the Iglesia Hispania in Alachua, and he's going to talk to you about local families that are dealing with this. So please welcome Jaime.
Hello, everyone. I know that a lot of people might be scared, especially my son, because he says that you don't speak good English. So it's going to be really difficult for you guys to understand what I'm going to say. One of my favorite writers is one of the prize Nobel, Jose Saramago. I don't know if any one of you knows about him. But he's really, really good because he always put me in troubles, especially because I am a man of faith. Being a pastor, I have to believe. But Saramago is a man who doesn't believe. And he wrote the most incredible books that make people who believe think. He wrote one book that the name is The Gospel According to Jesus Christ. And the big theme about this book is the story of Jesus Christ with his family going out as a refugee in Egypt. This is the story that maybe most of people know. But the reflection that he's doing in his book is how Joseph, Jesus' father, felt knowing that thousands of kids are going to die and he didn't do nothing. That is the big question about this book. How Joseph, knowing that thousands of kids are going to die and he didn't do nothing. That has to make us think. Today we're here together to think about a big picture about a kid in a cage. That's the reason we finally get together. But the problem didn't start over there. The problem is far, far away from that. That's just the end, the last thing that the media show us. A kid in a cage. The problem is bigger than that. In a way that a problem get really important for us as a human has to have a face. Today, the face that we have is the face of a kid in that cage. But I'm going to tell you something. Those faces came to me over the years and years and years. This is not the first time that I see something ridiculously bad. 2 years ago, families from our church, they came to me and asked me, Pastor, I want to ask you if I can write your name to be responsible of my kids if I've been deported. When the problem has a face, becomes your problem. When the problem is your friend, the problem has a face, and you start to think about it. That's exactly what is happening now. This problem has been there for so many years, but now has a face. Now it's important. We have to take advantage of this situation. I have to tell you this. For my own family, my brother, he is one of the ones that the lawyer mentioned, the TPS beneficiary. But the TPS is going to end next year. What is he going to do? My niece is a dreamer. She's in college. She's trying to do her best. What is going to happen with her life? This country is the only life that she knows. Today, I want to bring some words from somebody that I'm going to let you guys research who was this guy. And he says, let the world change you. That means go outside, see what you see, and learn from it. And then he says something bigger. We have to be realistic. We have to be realistic and try to get the impossible. That's are the dreamers. Me, as people in many churches, we are people who believe in one way, who believe in God. We have to believe that everything is possible, that there is no impossible, and that the problems only means possibilities to show mercy. God bless you all.
Thank you, Reverend Jaime. We appreciate it. So I brought my little one up on stage, and this is Alice. And Alice is the reason I'm doing this, because the idea of other people not having their Alices with them makes me want to vomit, frankly. It makes me sick to my stomach. So one announcement, Dr. Alicia Magruder is going to be our next speaker. After that, we're going to have the Interfaith Alliance lead us in our candlelight vigil. People are currently setting up candles on both sides of the stage, so go ahead and get your candles to be ready for that. Dr. Alicia Magruder is a local educator and community activist, and she is going to talk to you about ways that you can be engaged in these actions. So please welcome Dr. Alicia. Thank you.
Thank you all for sticking around and sticking it out. I come today not as a candidate for public office, although I am, but I'm a mother, I'm a concerned citizen, and I'm at the root of who I am, which is an activist. The separation of children at the border, as we have established today, is and the collective punishment of families seeking a better life is wholly immoral. Unfortunately, it isn't the first time. Just ask our communities of people of color. For a long time, there have been those in our country who would try to make our country their very own specific image. This ignores the long, diverse, and beautifully colorful history of our nation. We have always been a nation of immigrants. Yes, there are some that can trace their lineage to the Mayflower. Do you know any of them? And my own story is no different. My great-great-grandfather and family immigrated from Italy, from the mountains of Italy, and became coal miners in West Virginia. When it comes down to it, we are all immigrants. That's why the current administration's policies are not